Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. By now, it's no surprise that gold has been on fire for the year 2020 for various different reasons, but mainly because of the coronavirus pandemic that has plagued the entire world. Certainly the markets have reacted to that, and the economy has been hurting as a result. So a lot of things have been coming into play to bring gold to its highest price that we've seen in quite a while. In the month of November, especially after the announcements of several different vaccines that will be made available soon, gold has taken a pretty big hit, and it has come from its all-time high of over $2,050 after starting the year at just over $1,500. So it's been an amazing ride for gold, but it has fallen in recent weeks here, but there's still a lot of room for it to grow. And before we get to that, let's take a look at what's going on with the markets. Recently, we've seen the stock market climb to a record over 30,000 for the Dow. And you know, what emotion is driving the market right now? Well, I think it's pretty clear that greed seems to be the factor, but we know what's propping up the stock market for sure. And this kind of tells us the tale of the tape with the global gold reserve holdings, and to see what nations are doing. They're holding on to gold in these uncertain times, and I think that's likely to continue to rise as we see the amount of negative yield hit $17.1 trillion here through November the 9th. About global debt with these negative yield rates. And so there's a pattern going here, and these charts are literally getting to the point of going off the charts. The global debt on track, is to hit $277 trillion this year. And that's $360 trillion by 2030. All this liquidity that's going on. But you know what? All these different factors that we have to come into play, from household and non-finance corporations, general government, and the financial sector. It's all intertwined between the general government and the financial sector, with all that liquidity coming into play here. And so what happens? Well, we see the gold price and the government bond yields. They now are showing an inverse relationship here between the 10-year treasury and the gold price per ounce. So they're definitely making that inversion rate. And why is that? Well, look, the U.S. federal debt has increased the most in 2020 than in any past year, as Congress, the Federal Reserve, the Treasury, all injecting liquidity, stimulus, relief packages, the CARES Act, all of this stuff. And what are they doing? They're printing money out of thin air, digitizing it mostly. And a lot of that money is going into the markets. And so you can imagine what that's going to do to the Fed balance sheet. And then likely what's going to happen at the very end, that's going to do one thing for gold, and especially in the medium to long term, it's going to go up. So these prices that we've seen start to go down recently, to me, that's not that big of a drop when you take into account where we started the year at just over $1,500. And when you think about the median global cost of gold for all-in sustaining is under $1,000 an ounce, to me, that means that there is a lot of companies that are looking to find more gold out there. That's right. It's a year of profitability. It's very robust in that field. So I think that we're going to start to see a lot more exploration companies out there trying to find sites. And the company I'm about to tell you about has a very good site that they're looking at. Lagoon Resources is a relatively new gold exploration company that has found quite a site in British Columbia, Canada. It is the Dome Mountain Gold Mine site, and it has seen $28 million spent by Gavin Mines over the last 12 years, and $40 million spent previously by Timmins and Noranda for mine permitting, infrastructure construction, as well as underground development and exploration drilling. So this is something that has already been vetted, essentially. Rana Vig, who is the founder and CEO and director of Blue Lagoon Resources, was able to purchase it for $27 million Canadian in a share-only deal. So no hard cash was used. And already because of that, we know that it has 15 known high-grade gold veins and 20 kilometers of geological strike, plus a 75,000-ton-year permitted gold mine in British Columbia, Canada. So very fascinating indeed. And we can see here the Blue Lagoon Resources is a young, dynamic corporation with excellent capital structure who's got a very solid management with 100-plus years of combined experience in publicly traded companies. And they've already proven themselves to raise significant capital, highly documented, and investing in Canada there. And gold, as we've talked about, is certainly poised for a bullish market in the coming year. And that's why companies like this are looking for sites to try to mine gold for profit. And again, as we talked about this, that this has been the Dome Mountain mine site itself. 90% of the property, though, is unexplored, even though we've seen known results already. One of the 15 high-grade veins has been explored by any significant drilling to date. So it has this strong blue sky exploration potential there. And here we can take a look. You can see how the company is structured here and the different projects that they're looking at here. The Bel Air Gold Project, the Golden Wonder Project, Dome Mountain, and Big Onion. So lots of couple different sites there with a lot of land to explore there. And so very, very interesting indeed. The current market cap is $60 million in Canadian. While we know that $68 million was spent by previous operators, and undervalued for sure in that particular case here. And again, we can see how their capital structure is laid out in this slide here. But fascinating indeed. And considering that this project that we're talking about, the Dome Mountain, has never ever been explored, 90% of it, potential is in the drilling. And they start drilling on the 11th of January of 2021. So the timing for investment is ideal at this point. We can take a look here of the management directors. Rana has surrounded himself with very smart individuals. I heard an interview with him talking about the people that are behind this and what they know about the site. And what's fascinating is as well in this particular area here, we can see here's the project location, and they're close to highway infrastructure and within famous, well-established areas in British Columbia, Canada. And it's one of the best exploration and mining jurisdictions in the world, we can see here, especially these three grouped together here. It's fascinating. The Dome Mountain property needs only $1.5 million in capital expenditures and to fix 3 amendments to get it to production, which is a 6 to 12 month process. So by summer of 2021, the company will be in a position to decide on production, which might turn it into a revenue generator. And that's where the biggest potentially massive returns are, proving the mine is much bigger than current resources indicate. And so that is where we're at. And we can see here why we've talked about gold and its certainly its importance in these days, even in the face of cryptocurrencies and the like out there. Gold really is where it's at. It's a solid foundational asset. It is considered a tier 1 asset, as you've heard me talk about time and time again, by the central bank of central bankers. So we know that this particular place here, especially the Dome Mountain location here, is quite special. It is It has already been invested in by previous owners here, and it has over 11,000 hectares for titles that cover that much, and it is high-grade gold and silver. By the way, I heard this interview. He was talking about how there is a 4-to-1 ratio, a gold to silver ratio for mining. So in other words, there's 4 grams per 1 gram of gold that can be taken out of the ground in that area. And they've made all their calculations on the gold and nothing for the silver. So the silver is just icing on the cake in this particular case, which I think is quite fascinating here. And we can see that there is a risk parameter that talks about where there's the only moderate risk is the political risk and social risk of the area, and but that is relatively moderate. The rest of these are kind of low risk entities here, or that we can kind of look here in terms of the grade, the vein thickness. We've talked about what's already been established there, metallurgy and recoveries. The location to infrastructure, I think, is quite important here, especially. But one of the bigger things for the low risk is the environmental issues. None have been reported yet. And there's approval of 3 amendments in progress. And I think that is certainly something that would be a big hurdle in this particular case. But we can see here more maps that show the area, which is quite fascinating. They've done their homework already enough on this to be able to give a relative amount of confidence to what is already there with the 15 vein systems in this particular project. It is certainly a great amount of potential here for this particular mine, as you can see. But one thing I will say about the CEO, who is not a mining expert, Raina Vig is the company's founder. He was responsible for 2 of the biggest deals in the Canadian venture market in the past 2 years, and it is quite impressive. We can see here on the actual website, see some information about management here and about Raina Vig. He's got 30 years of experience, during which time he has helped to launch 5 business ventures in the private industry. Been very successful in these ventures that he's been involved in, and he surrounds himself with very smart people that have done a lot of their homework and are experts, like the chief geologist here, Bill Cronk. Probably one of the most important positions, I would suspect, in this particular venture here, as I look through that. And again, the previous operators, they had already spent over 68 million Canadian dollars to explore the property to get it to this point. Most of the legwork has already been done. And Peter Brown, who is the founder of Canaccord Genuity, a respected Canadian brokerage firm, and is a person with access to many gold deals that are out there, is a sizable shareholder in this venture here for Blue Lagoon Resources. Even founder Renee Vig recently invested $300,000 of his own money at $1 a share Canadian, which is much higher than where it is now. Shares are up over 100% since July, as the company is now releasing results from their efforts in the field. Yet before the March meltdown, prices were priced at, for Canadian, $1.80, over 100% above today's price with lower gold prices. So there's a lot of, I believe, potential in this company. If you're interested in investing, and you can contact them on their website, which I'll post a link in the description below. Go to the contact page here, and they will be sure to answer your questions if you're interested. This is kind of where it is, mining stocks and mining exploration companies, to get in on the ground up for investors. This is an investor thing that comes with risk, certainly, in ventures like this. And so that's something to take into account here as you explore ways to be able to profit in an venture like this. Blue Lagoon Resources. So there you go. Hope you found this video informative. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.